Kogan in the Man Cave Classroom talking about how to analyze documents. It's really tough to find a one-size-fits-all kind of strategy because you have so many different historical documents when it comes to political cartoons, letters, paintings, photographs.
And props to the great Vanessa Langdon for this one.
Oh, without a doubt.
Sharing is caring in this profession.
Without a doubt.
And if you're not stealing other people's ideas,
you're not trying hard
You're
enough.
not trying hard enough as an educator.
And the thing is that when it comes to looking at these documents, there's always people's heads kind of get wrapped around certain details or the wrong details.
Or they only focus on one thing that really the question might not be asking you about.
Right. So when there is like a loss of like, hey, what to do, we broke it down with the HIPPO. So the H is going to start with the historical context.
Historical context is always talking about like the time period, like what is going on around the event that leads to the event being created, or the document, the source, whatever it might be, being created. The bigger picture.
Right.
Always the bigger picture of what's going on in the world. What is happening at the time that leads up to the event being created.
And when it comes to trying to figure out that time, you're not going to exactly nail
Right.
a particular date right on.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be pre-Civil War, post-Civil War, pre-World War I, post-World War II, post-World War I. There are certain things in there that'll give you an idea of if it's before or after a particular event, industrial revolution.
And sometimes this is like brainstorming.
It is.
Because especially when it comes to American history, you get in from like the 1860s to the 1920s, there's a lot going on.
Too much.
You've got imperialism, immigration, urbanization, progressive reform era all happening at the same time, and then you kind of try to sort of narrow it down what that document's all about.
Which will bring us then to the eye, the intended audience. In most instances, when you're looking at these historical documents, again, whether it's a letter, a photograph, whatever the case may be, there is a purpose for it, an intended one. Is it trying to upset people? Is it trying to influence them? Is it trying to persuade them? Certain kind of words and skills you see with ELA. So with this one, we're looking at what group of people does the author, creator expect will read and interact with their work?
Sometimes it's one person.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a letter written from one individual to another. Sometimes it's the Congress, if you're doing like FDR's Day of Infamy speech.
Yep.
Sometimes it's the entire country. And you really need to understand that intended audience, which, as you said, one of the P's here is going to be purpose.
Right.
That, like, why is the author, artist, photographer, why are they doing this?
And again, when we're looking into that purpose, you're also, it can be, this document can be meant not even just for a person. When you're talking about a letter, it could be meant or geared towards a particular gender.
Yeah.
Right. Point of view, who is the author, creator? What is the author trying? What is the perspective? There's a lot going on with this one. How does this author create or have bias?
Yeah, point of view, perspective, they go hand in hand. They're interchangeable. I love this particular cartoon because I ask my classes, who's right? And then like they're both right. And it's like, exactly, they're both right. We need more information here to determine who's right. Maybe if we zoomed out, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we know that the 6 is correct. But in this point of view, you then get to understand bias. Bias, the preformed opinions that people have, could be negative, could be positive. That bias is not always a bad thing to have. When we looked at like propaganda World War II, we see positive American bias when it comes to that. So definitely your point of view. Next.
Purpose.
Yes.
Why was it created?
Why is it being created?
Are you trying to upset people? Or are you trying to get them to join with you? There's a lot of ways when we're looking at purpose. People don't often just sit there and just create something just for the sake of creating. Sometimes, and when we're talking about those, sometimes government or world events or events within the United States are going to influence why a particular thing was created.
Is it to inform?
Yes.
Like with the June 19th announcement in Galveston, Texas, that the 13th Amendment has been ratified and slaves are actually free.
And that document comes out.
You're informing people. Are you persuading? Is it propaganda? Are
Right.
you trying to change the way people think?
Because memos are also just going to do that, inform,
Yeah.
policy change, whatever the case may be, which is finally going to bring us to outside information. When it comes to the outside information, that's going to be very helpful when it comes to filling in gaps in terms of how you're going to understand it, what's going on, certain participants that are in it, certain things that are going on, certain things you might catch in the background or the foreground. This is also would help if you're putting that together with maybe certain symbols you might be finding in political cartoons.
And like you said, filling in the gap, because the picture I chose here when I put it together
Perfect.
is putting the pieces of the puzzle together. You know, and this is like almost like a brainstorm.
Yep.
As you get, it's like, okay, I have this particular document. Let's say it's the day of infamy speech.
Yep.
You know, what outside information do we have here? All right, well, the Japanese attacked us at Pearl Harbor. This drags us into World War II. The Japanese were being very aggressive in Asia. We cut off oil and scrap metal sales to them. There were negotiations going on. All this outside information helps us get a better puzzle piece picture put together. Something
Yep.
like that.
So when in doubt, when you're looking at documents throughout the school year and you don't know where to begin, this is a good starting
Yeah.
point when you're looking at the
And it's quick.
It's quick.
You know, it
It's
really
easy.
is. And we kind of break this down for you, but it's in our class. It's all right, HIPPO this document. It's like, all right, boom, 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 2 to 4 minutes.
And once you're able to kind of like get this also helps prepare you the kind of questions you're going to answer on a test.
Yes, and when we get into like writing essays and enduring issues and stuff like that, being able to HIPPO a document.
And you're going to be bringing in that language to that writing as well.
Yep.
You know, the purpose, the historical context. Good. Thanks for watching.